According to brand new data, Democrats are experiencing a complete and total collapse. What is up, people of the internet? It is me, Real American, back in with a new video, and today we have to talk about the 2024 presidential election because it appears that the Democrat Party has experienced a complete and total collapse. Yeah, that's right. Despite what Democrats may claim about the current state of the race and how Kamala Harris is going to win every single swing state, despite the narratives that they're pushing, Democrats are in a real bad position because we have brand new data that was just released, and it is awful for Democrats. And I'm not exaggerating when I say we could be witnessing a complete and total collapse of Kamala Harris's presidential campaign. And I know that sounds crazy, but the numbers have been so bad for Democrats today that I'm starting to believe that, yeah, there's a possibility that this is the beginning of a collapse of Harris's campaign. Now, I want to be clear that I am not saying that Trump's going to win every single swing state. He's going to win every state in a landslide. I'm not saying that at all. But these numbers have been so bad for Democrats that it makes you really wonder, how bad can it really get for Harris? Is this the beginning of a complete collapse? Is this a fluke? What's happening here? Well, look at early voting out of Virginia. This took everyone by complete surprise. Republicans gained in early voting out of Virginia. No one was expecting this. Republicans are yet again above 40% of the early vote, just above it at 40.01%. But compare that to 2021, 2022, and 2023, and Republicans are doing way better than any of those elections. And you look at this tweet here, a massive surge in early votes today put Republicans back over 40%. Today marks the first day in 2 weeks that early voting has swung towards the GOP in Virginia. It's too early to tell whether the cavalry has arrived in force, but this is incredible news. Yeah. Because people were not expecting Republicans to do this good on October 10th. Like, people might have thought, okay, maybe it swung slightly Republican, or maybe it's stagnated. Not Republicans are already above 40% yet again. And when you look at who's actually voting, you realize that these are low propensity voters, and that's a big deal. For those that don't know, low propensity means people that don't vote, while high propensity means people that vote in more elections. That's what it really means. And Democrats are a problem where they're only getting high propensity voters out to vote. Look at this. They have roughly 200,000 4 out of 4 voters. That means these voters have voted in every single election. Of the last 4 cycles, they voted in every election. Compare that with Republicans, who only got 133,000 high propensity voters. Compare that to low propensity. It's 0 out of 4. Republicans double what Democrats got. And 1 out of 4, Democrats have a small lead on that. And that's it. This is very unusual. This doesn't happen. And that's what makes these numbers even worse for Democrats, because all Democrats are doing in Virginia and other states, they're just cannibalizing their high propensity voters. People that vote in every election that, more than likely, we're going to vote on election day no matter what. While Republicans, they are getting their low propensity voters out to vote early. Which is a big deal, because if you have these people voting early, that means you don't have to worry about them not showing up on election day because, well, they already voted. This took everyone by complete surprise. No one thought that Republicans were already going to start doing better in early voting. But we have to be careful, because this could be a one-day fluke. It could be a complete fluke that goes away in a day. It's entirely possible, but it sounds like no one thought this was going to happen. And when you compare this to 2021, 2022, 2023, it's a complete and total disaster for Democrats. But fine, it's early voting, it can be misleading. Maybe it was just one bad day of early voting for Democrats, and that's it. Even though every other state is showing the same trends. Yeah, that's right, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Florida. Every single state's showing the same trends where Republicans are getting their voters out to vote, in particular, low propensity voters. But fine, early voting isn't everything. Well, we have brand new polling. And it is real bad for Democrats. Look at this. Pew Research, the same pollster that back in 2020 said Harris was going to win by 10 points. Now, for those that don't know, Pew Research is most of the time a good pollster. But for whatever reason, they struggle in presidential years. Either way, right now, they founded Harris +1. The same pollster just 4 years ago was saying Biden +10. 8 years ago was Clinton +8. Right now, it's only Harris +1. Which, by the way, if they're 100% right here, that means no miss. They didn't miss any support for Trump, nothing. And they're 100% spot on. It's only Harris +1. That's not enough for her to win. To win the Electoral College, she has to win by 2, 3, possibly 4 points just to barely win the Electoral College. Right? So Harris +1 from Pew Research, which we all know, they are a good pollster, but for whatever reason, they usually overstate Democrats at the presidential level. But if they have a Harris +1, and their prior polls were off by like 5 to 6 points, which again, I'm not saying that's going to happen again, but if there's a 5 to 6 point miss in 2024, and Pew Research is off by 5 to 6 again, that's Trump +4 to 5. Which I'm not saying is going to happen, but let's say by some miracle it's Trump +4 or 5. At that point, Trump is winning states like Minnesota, Virginia, New Hampshire, Maine. At that point, states like New Jersey, New York, New Mexico, they're potentially up for grabs. Which I am not saying is going to happen. Again, I still think at the end of the day, the popular vote more than likely is going to be close. It might be Trump +1, it might be Harris +1, might be Harris +2. But either way, the fact that Pew Research, they have it Trump or Harris +1, when back in 2020 they had it Biden +8, Biden +10. It's a big deal because they have long histories of understating Republican support by a lot. And even if they're off by only 1 point, hell, if they're perfect, it's still a Trump win. Trump wins Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia in a Trump +1 or Harris +1 environment. If it's Trump +1 or 2, the numbers we're seeing out of Virginia begin to make sense because you look at early voting out of Virginia, like I said, it's only D +20, which compared to 21, 22, 23 is way more Republican. It would make sense for Democrats to be doing worse in Virginia if it's really Trump +1, Trump +2, like the Pew Research poll could be predicting. Again, I'm not saying for sure that's going to happen, but you begin to look at early voting, you begin to look at some of the national polls, it begins to line up. Like Pew Research, they have it Harris +1, have histories of understating Trump by 4 to 5 points, maybe 6. Maybe they're off again, maybe they're correct. But it begins to line up with the early voting we're seeing out of Pennsylvania, out of North Carolina, out of Virginia. It begins to add up. But fine, Pew Research, they're only one pollster. Well, guess what? We had a brand new poll from Emerson, and we all know Emerson, they are a relatively speaking good pollster. But just like Pew Research, especially at the state level, they understate Trump by a lot. Well, despite that, they have Trump up in Arizona, up in Pennsylvania, up in Georgia, up in North Carolina, tied in Michigan, tied in Wisconsin, and only down by 1 in Nevada. For those that don't remember, back in 2020, Emerson College, again, a decent pollster, they understated Trump by a lot in the same swing states. But now, they have the race tied in 2 of the 7, while Nevada is slightly Harris +1. Yeah, Emerson College, the same pollster that was off by 4 to 5 points back in 2020 on average, the same pollster is now showing Trump up in Georgia, up in Pennsylvania, up in Arizona, the states that he needs to win. North Carolina, same deal. I mean, this is not good for Harris at all because these same polls, just like Pew Research, they understate Democrats or Republicans every presidential year. Maybe not in midterms, but in 2016 and especially 2020, Pew Research and Emerson, they understated Trump by a lot. But fine, it's only Emerson College, it's only Pew Research. Well, guess what? Now we are getting brand new polling from the campaigns themselves. And we have the actual numbers from the Trump campaign. We don't from the Harris campaign, but there are reports out there that show Harris down by 3 in Wisconsin. Yeah, Tammy Baldwin's campaign, they have Harris losing Wisconsin by 3 points. Which, funny enough, is actually more bullish on Trump than his own poll. Yeah, Trump's own pollster, Fabrizio, they have a Trump +1 in Wisconsin. Meanwhile, Harris's pollster, I should say Baldwin's pollster, they have it Trump +3 in Wisconsin. And look at this, Trump +5 in Georgia, +3 in Arizona, +3 in Nevada, winning Pennsylvania, up in Michigan, North Carolina, Wisconsin, aka a sweep of the swing states. Every single swing state, according to Fabrizio, which is Trump's pollster, right now, they have Trump up in every single swing state. And funny enough, they're actually more bullish on Harris than Harris's own campaign. Yeah, that's right. Harris's campaign is running to Axios, to CNN, Politico, the Wall Street Journal, and they are panicking. They're outright saying, we are in a bad situation in the Rust Belt, we're in a bad situation in the Sun Belt. It is becoming increasingly bad for Democrats, which lines up perfectly with the early voting, lines up perfectly with the public polling in recent days, having a dramatic shift towards Trump. But you might be saying, well, how does this prove that a collapse is happening? Maybe it's just one bad day of polling. Well, you notice the dates of the Pew Research poll, and it's October 6th. That's the final day of the poll. Well, Richard Bears, the People's Pundit, and I know people, they're not a big fan of him, some people aren't, but Richard Bears is a good pollster. And right now, he's in the field polling, and this was yesterday, and he flat out said, right now, they are witnessing a complete and total collapse of Harris's support in the field. And it's so bad, apparently, that Bears is running the poll for an extra 2 to 3 days because it sounds like they're onto something. That they found a complete collapse for Harris in recent days. And by the way, this poll is conducted right after Pew Research's poll. Pew Research was October 6th. Right now, it's October 9th, October 10th. And apparently, Barris is finding Trump is surging while Kamala Harris's campaign is in complete collapse. Does this mean Trump's going to win every single swing state? No. But this is not good for Harris at all, because if she peaked a month ago and now you have good pollsters like Barris saying that, yeah, Kamala Harris's campaign's in free fall, her numbers keep going down, that's not good for her. Because we all know Trump is a strong finisher in the last week of October and in the first week of November. Every year. So for Harris to already be collapsing in early October, and it seems like she's trending downwards, which, by the way, the RCP Electoral College map, right now they have Trump up in Michigan, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona. Compare that to 2020, by the way. Point is, though, these same polls are showing Trump is doing better in all the swing states. And it seems like even Pew Research, People's Pundit, even like Emerson and Trump's pollster, hell, even Harris's pollsters, they're all finding a very noticeable trend of Harris trending downwards. And it seems like it happened the past week or so. I have no clue what happened, but it just seems like the campaign is just in free fall. They're not doing events. Their media blitz, in quotation, is a complete disaster. The polling looks like trash. And the early voting, it appears, as of now at least, to be swinging towards the Republican Party. But we just got to see what happens. Maybe this is a complete and total fluke, but these numbers are not good for Harris. And it strongly suggests that right now, we are possibly witnessing the complete collapse of Harris's campaign. We'll see next week if this is a trend or it's a fluke, but right now, we could be witnessing a collapse of Harris's campaign in real time. Does that mean it's for sure going to happen? No. But we'll see what happens. Maybe it is the beginning of the end of Harris's campaign. Anyways, folks, thank you so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy this video, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the social media accounts in the description down below, and of course, join the channel today. Godspeed to all of you.